Jayurada Madhava Jabi Upijanava Nava Girivarada Pijanava Girivarada Sudana Sudana Gajajamada Tira Vanacha Jayarada Madhava Jayarada Jabi Upijanava Girivarada Upijanava Girivarada Janara Jasudanandana Gajajanara Jamanatira Vanaja Tira Vanaja Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Good morning, devotees. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayat Nasta Prayesvabhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamas Loke Bhakti Ravavati Naistiki. So we are reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, chapter number 3, and verses number 10. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. This is the same mantra that Dhruva Maharaj repeated for 6 months and got the audience of Lord Vishnu, pretty much like the priests of King Nabi that actually were able to see Lord Vishnu as well. So it's not a verse, it's prose. Atayam eva varuhi arhatama yarhi barishi rajarsher varadar shavo pavanija purushakshana vishaya asit. Synonyms. Ata, then, I am this, eva, certainly, vara, benediction, he, indeed, arhatama, O most worshipable of the worshipable. Yarhi, because, Parishi, in the sacrifice, Raja Riche of King Nabi, Varada Rishaba, the best of the benefactors, Pavan, your lordship, Nija Purusha, of your devotees, Ikshana Vishaya, the object of his sight, Asit, has become. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. O most worshipable of all, you are the best of all benefactors, and your appearance at saintly King Nabi's sacrificial arena is meant for our benediction. Because you have been seen by us, you have bestowed upon us the most valuable benediction. This is more or less also what Dhruva said when Lord Vishnu showed up. Purport. Nija Purusha Ikshana Vishaya. In Bhagavad Gita 9:29, Krishna says, Samoham Sarvabhuteshu. I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I am equal to all. Whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I'm also a friend to him. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is equal to everyone. In that sense, he has no enemies and no friends. Everyone is enjoying the fruitive reactions of its own work. And the Lord, within everyone's heart, is observing and giving everyone the desired result. However, just as the devotees are always anxious to see the Supreme Lord satisfied in every way, similarly, the Supreme Lord is very anxious to present himself before his devotees. Sri Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 4:8, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chaduskritam dharma samstapanartaya sambhavanimi yuge yuge. To deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion, I myself appear millennium after millennium. Thus, Krishna's appearance is for the deliverance and satisfaction of his devotees. Actually, he does not advent himself simply to kill the demons, for that can be done by his agents. For Vishnu's appearance at the sacrificial arena of Maharaja Nabi was just to please the king and his assistants. Otherwise, there was no reason for his being present there. Verse again. O most worshipable of all, you are the best of all benefactors, and your appearance as saintly King Nabi's sacrificial arena is meant for our benediction. Because you have been seen by us, you have bestowed upon us the most valuable benediction. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chaksurmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayati Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shigurum Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanyam Ishwaram Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva Cha Patitanam Pavanavyo Vaishnavavyo Namo Namaha. Well, thank you, Prabhus and Prabhus, for showing up for Bhagavatam class, Nitya Bhagavata Sevaya, just by regular hearing, even from me. It's just the Bhagavatam that has this incredible cleansing power that anything, all the misgivings, and we have plenty, within the heart are eliminated by regularly hearing Bhagavatam. What a benediction. So let's begin by trying to elucidate some of the things found in the translation and the purport. The verse begins with "O most worshipable of all," and this was a question when Yudhishthira Maharaj did his most famous Rajasuya sacrifice. As part of the Rajasuya sacrifice, well, one of the things is done is a challenge horse is sent everywhere, and his brothers Arjuna, Nakula, Sahadeva, and Bhima, they went in different directions with a challenge horse. They to different kingdoms, and they said, "Okay, accept Yudhishthira as king of kings, or else fight." So there was not a challenge really. And when they were at the Rajasuya sacrifice, that even Duryodhana had to show up. It was this was when the Pandavas were regaining their strength. There was a question of who will be kind of the president of the arena, who is the most worshipable person, who is the most important person. And it was not even up for discussion. Well, maybe among the demons, they may have wanted themselves to be, and this is a case in general, that they don't accept the supremacy of anybody else. Everybody wants to be number one. That's how we found ourselves in this side of on this side of the Viraja river. But Krishna was obviously the person, the most worshipable. So this is how the verse begins, "O most worshipable of all." This is Vishnu, and also is called the best of the benefactors, as there is a verse about Kamastaistair Rita Gyana Prapadyante. Actually, no, that's in the Gita. That and not less intelligent people worship the demigods. They need to figure out that any benediction, even if demigods have powers, they have to be sanctioned by the Supreme Lord. So who is the best of the benefactors? You got to go to the source. And your appearance at King and Saintly King Nabi's sacrificial arena is meant for our benediction. So this is what happens, that devotees begin to acquire the qualities of the Supreme Lord, and therefore they become worshipable themselves. So it's not like Krishna needs us or needs anything from us, or has a low self-esteem and needs to be worshipped because he may feel depressed. No, it's whatever Krishna does for our satisfaction. It's because just like if we are able to think of Krishna and his pleasure and accomplish some of it, because it's not necessary to do very much. I mean, obviously, if one wants to be, the more burden one takes upon oneself, the more attention one will get from Krishna. Then why is this devotee taking so much trouble on my behalf? He becomes extremely interested. But it's that Krishna wants to benedict everyone. And that's why he showed up at the sacrifice. It wasn't because of he was forced by the strength or the mantras, by the strength of the yagya or no. He has no need to show up. And this is explained here in the beginning of the purport. Samoham sarva bhuteshu. I envy no one, nor am partial to anyone. I'm equal to all, but whomever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I'm also a friend to him. And this is from the 9th chapter of the Gita. So let's read a little bit from this, what Prabhupada has to say. One may question here that if Krishna is, this is from a purport, one may question here that if Krishna is equal to everyone and no one is his special friend, then why does he take a special interest in the devotees who are always engaged in his transcendental service? But this is not discrimination. It is natural. Any man in this material world may be very charitably disposed, yet he has a special interest in his own children. The Lord claims that every living entity, in whatever form, is his son. And so he provides everyone with a generous supply of the necessities of life. So he claims that every living entity is his son. Yeah. So go by John 3:16, that God has only one son and he became impotent after that. He provides everyone with a generous supply of the necessities of life. Nitya Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam Eko Bahunam Yo Vidadati Kaman. There is one person who is providing everybody else's necessities. That is, and the Upanishads is found is Krishna. He's just like a cloud which pours rain all over, regardless of whether it falls on rock or land or water. But for his devotees, he gives specific attention. Such devotees are mentioned here. They're always in Krishna consciousness, and therefore they are always transcendentally situated in Krishna. The very phrase Krishna consciousness suggests that those who are in such consciousness are living transcendentalists, situated in him. The Lord says here distinctly, Maite, they're in me. Naturally, as a result, the Lord is also in them. This is reciprocal. This also explains the word ye yata mam prapadyanti tam stataiva bhajamyaham. Whoever surrenders unto me proportionately, I take care of him. This transcendental reciprocation exists because both the Lord and the devotees are conscious. So it is proportionately. It's not like Krishna is being partial. It's because the devotees are more active and they're thinking of Krishna, that Krishna simply reciprocates. So that is part of the purport of 929. Continuing with the purport 2, the Bhagavatam 5.3.10, Prabhupada says, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is equal to everyone. In that sense, he has no enemies and no friends. Everyone is enjoying the fruitive reactions of his own work, and the Lord within everyone's heart is observing and giving everyone the desired results. However, just as the devotees are always anxious to see the Supreme Lord satisfied in every way, similarly, the Supreme Lord is very anxious to present himself before his devotees. And again, Krishna says in the Gita, and this is verse 4.8. So let's go to 4.8. Paritranaya sadunam vinashaya chaduskritam dharma samstapanartaya sambhavami yuge yuge. This is the Jamasavi verse, one of them. To deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to reestablish the principles of religion, I myself appear millennium after millennium. Yeah, it's not that Krishna has forgotten. He just hangs out in his own home and never shows up. It's like a landlord that owns property everywhere and has a property management company that looks after his rent and cleaning and gardening and so on. Krishna actually appears himself. And we'll read a little bit of the purport of that verse. According to Bhagavad Gita, a sadhu, a holy man, is a man in Krishna consciousness. A person may appear to be irreligious, but if he has the qualifications of Krishna consciousness wholly and fully, he is to be understood to be a sadhu. Interesting. And duskritam applies to those who do not care for Krishna consciousness. Such miscreants or duskritam are described as foolish and the lowest of mankind, even though they may be decorated with mundane education, whereas a person who is 100% engaged in Krishna consciousness is accepted as a sadhu, even though such a person may be neither learned nor well cultured. I saw a very short video the other day of a scholar, of a Bible scholar, an Old Testament scholar. Maybe he's a rabbi. I'm not exactly sure who he was, but he was asked by Jordan Peterson about the thou shalt not kill. And this man, very educated, very cultured, very learned, very articulate, he said that there are two words, one is for murder and one is for killing, and they use the murder word and the thou shalt not kill. Therefore, it is understood that it only refers to human beings, and therefore you can kill an animal, no problem. He spoke like that. So this is the case of a learned, stupid man. And this is part of the verse, who doesn't come to Krishna consciousness? Mayaya parita jnana. It's a perfect example of someone whose intelligence was stolen by illusion. So he is here proudly declaring and espousing his ignorance. Because one of the things that needs to be used in every discussion, whether philosophical or scientific or in any discipline, even sports, even arts, is common sense. Common sense. Like, for example, of course, there's always the guy in the emperor has no clothes, like the child that is the only one who actually dared to say that the emperor was naked. Everybody else praised his new clothes, either because they were an illusion or because they were afraid of the consequences of displeasing the emperor. I had one of those incidents. I was distributing books at the Orlando airport in Florida, and that was in the mid-'80s. And they were installing some art. They have this tendency in pretty much every airport in the world, and particularly in America. They wanted to put some art to decorate the inside of the airport. So there was a canvas, red color canvas, very large. It was very high, near the close to the ceiling. And when I took a little break, I went to see what were they doing. There was a huge canvas. It must have been 15 feet wide by 6 feet tall. And it was a red canvas made out of jute, painted red, and had a couple of slashes by a machete or something. That was it. That was it. And I have heard that they paid $15,000 for that abomination. And there was a woman looking at it, pretty much kind of close to me at the same time. So I said, "Can you believe they paid $15,000 for that aberration?" She said, "No, it was 40,000, and I am the artist." So an ordinary person will feel embarrassed, but I'm not an ordinary person, apparently. I didn't feel embarrassed. I said, "You are a con artist. This is not art in my eyes." So this is what happens, that people are confused. They're confused, and they don't know what's right and what's wrong. So that's what happens in every realm. That's why this so-called educated man can just espouse something that has no common sense. And also common sense dictates that a large canvas with a couple of slashes made by a machete is not necessarily art. It's just something you put in your garage that you're embarrassed about it. And then when the garbage truck comes by, then you just toss it. But no, we live in a very in an upside down world, and this is not figurative. It's the banyan tree analogy that we are actually upside down. This is a reflection of the real world. Therefore, we get everything wrong because it's simply a reflection, and we take it as substantial, as true. So let's continue. Let's go back to the verse that we're reading today. At the end of a purport, Prabhupada said, "Thus Krishna's appearance is for the deliverance and satisfaction of his devotees." Actually, he does not advent himself simply to kill the demons, but for that can be done by his agents. Lord Vishnu's appearance at the sacrificial arena of Maharaja Nabi was just to please the king and his assistants. Otherwise, there was no reason for his being present there. So, I wanted to look up the words the last sentence in the translation and the verses. "You have bestowed upon us the most valuable benediction." So I looked in Vanipedia for those words, the most valuable benediction, and I found some quotes. One is this is Prabhupada. There are 3 quotes by Prabhupada and 2 quotes that were written in the 10th and 11th canto. That's the part of the Hridayananda Maharaj and Gopi Paranadhana completed the Bhagavatam. So real well. Smin sanardo pisat sangha sevadir nrinam. O most auspicious one, I am asking you for the highest benediction. I wish to have the association of your pure devotees, because the association of your devotees, for even a moment, is the most valuable gain in this world. That's from my Bhagavatam 11:228. In Bhagavatam 10:81-37 says, "Indeed, in his infinite wisdom, the unborn Lord well knows how the intoxication of pride can cause the downfall of the wealthy. The purport, as explained by Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti, the humble Brahmana Sudama considered himself unworthy of the Supreme Lord's most rare and valuable benediction, pure devotional service, he reasoned. In the fourth canto, chapter 30, text 27, speaking about original Krishna consciousness, deity worship in the form of temple worship is the most valuable benediction given by the Lord to the beginners. All neophytes must therefore engage in the worship of the Lord by keeping the Archa Vigraha at home or in the temple. And now we come to today's verse. You have bestowed upon us the most valuable benediction. And then also in the when Rishabhadeva appears in the womb of Meru Devi, the wife of King Navi, we are going to hear about, being seen by us, you have bestowed upon us the most valuable benediction. This is from 5.3.11. Dear Lord, all the great sages who are thoughtful and saintly, etc., etc. So I wanted, speaking about the reciprocation and the most valuable benediction and the association between the Lord and the devotees, I wanted to read a couple verses from the Madhya Lila of the Chaitanya Charitamrita when Lord Chaitanya is speaking to Sanatana Goswami. This is the translation from Madhya 22:105. When transcendental devotional service by which love for Krishna is attained is executed by the senses, it is called sadhana bhakti, or the regulative discharge of devotional service. Such devotion eternally exists within the heart of every living entity. The awakening of this eternal devotion is the potentiality of devotional service and practice. We should remember this when we meet with other people, that this is such devotion eternally exists within the heart of every living entity. So basically everyone is a devotee of Krishna and they have different degrees of forgetfulness. Apohanam cha. And the purport, this verse is found in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 122, because living entities are minute atomic parts and parcels of the Lord, devotional service is already present within them in a dormant condition. Devotional service begins with Shravanam Kirtanam, hearing and chanting. When a man is sleeping, he can be awakened by sound vibration. Therefore, every conditioned soul should be given the chance to hear the Hare Krishna mantra chanted by a pure Vaishnava. One who hears the Hare Krishna mantra thus vibrated is awakened to spiritual consciousness or Krishna consciousness. In this way, one's mind gradually becomes purified, as stated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Chetudarpanamarjanam. When the mind is purified, the senses are also purified. Instead of using the senses for sense gratification, the awakened devotee employs the senses in transcendental loving service of the Lord. This is the process by which dormant love of Krishna is awakened. In the next verse, the translation is, the spiritual activities of hearing, chanting, remembering, and so forth are the natural characteristics of devotional service. The marginal characteristic is that it awakens pure love for Krishna. Then a very famous verse, 22:107 from Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kabunai, Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte Karaya Udoy. Pure love for Krishna is eternally established in the hearts of the living entities. It is not something to be gained from another source. When the heart is purified by hearing and chanting, this love naturally awakens. There are two processes of practical devotional service. One is regulative devotional service, and the other is spontaneous devotional service. Those who have not attained the platform of spontaneous attachment in devotional service render devotional service under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, according to the regulative principles mentioned in the revealed scriptures. According to the revealed scriptures, this kind of devotional service is called Vaidhi Bhakti. And these are some of the basic points of Krishna consciousness, those who cannot be changed. Prabhupada never compromised on the philosophy or the practice that we have to chant minimum of 16 rounds, which is a concession from the original 64 rounds, and follow the 4 regulative principles. And this is not compromised. There are a lot of details according to time, place, circumstance, and in order to spread Krishna consciousness, we must act and think intelligently. We cannot just present some kind of Krishna consciousness in a dogmatic way that people won't be able to understand or accept. In our own lives, we can apply it in whatever way we see is most suitable. But for spreading Krishna consciousness, we cannot. We have to actually think intelligently. Prabhupada said, tax your brains. And this is the meaning of it. You have to find a way to give Krishna consciousness to others without alienating them. And it's not all about rules and regulations. It's about intelligently deliver what a person is able to hear and apply to their own lives. Okay. I think I've said enough. So we can open the forum for discussion, criticism, or whatever you need. And just raise your hand, your virtual hand, or unmute yourself. Yes, Taraka Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Sarvatma Prabhu. I want to thank you
can't
for.
Hear you. I think I have.
Are you not hearing?
I don't know why. Okay. I hear you now.
Okay. I want to thank you for a really nice class. And so it's a little hard for me to express myself, but I want to say that, and this may surprise you, but I feel that your class today was probably singly the best class that I have heard at Gita Nagari in years, and maybe one of the, it's just a really, really excellent class. Can you guess why I think that way?
Yes, I can, because I basically said nothing on my own. I was mostly reading from Prabhupada's quotes.
Bingo. I love it. 100% pure, unadulterated, just sweet nectar, the medicine that I sorely need. You know, as a man who's about to die, and I know that I can die at any moment. It's been confirmed by numerous physicians. I'm hanging on by a thread. So I want to hear Srimad Bhagavatam as Maharaj Parikshit did. I take Bhagavatam class very seriously, and it is frustrating when sometimes I come to hear Srimad Bhagavatam class and there is sand in the sweet rice, sometimes mixed with opinions or elements that are extraneous. I want the pure nectar of Srimad Bhagavatam. I want the pure, unadulterated words of our acharyas. And when I get a chance to hear that and drink deeply with confidence that I'm getting the pure, unadulterated nectar, I can't tell you how much that means to me. You know, to be able to hear without having to, monitor every word and check it against, my best understanding from, what I've been able to retain over the years trying to judge is this actually philosophically sound? Is this, is this true and accurate, or is this somebody's opinion or whatever? This class, I could put aside all my concerns and just deeply drink in the medicinal nectar. And I really, really appreciate that. I can't tell you how much that means to me. It's everything for me in my life right now. So this class today was stellar, spectacular, incredibly wonderful. Best class I've heard in a long, long time. I really, really appreciate that. So I want to thank you profusely. I don't really have anything to contribute particularly or any question, but I just wanted to express that. I think it's important. The quality of our classes should be important to all of us. The quality of what we're hearing. Srimad Bhagavatam is not a forum for expressing opinion at all. Having a conversation with my wife last night. In the course of the conversation, I was reminded of experience that I had in early in my Krishna consciousness. New York, Brooklyn, New York, the Henry Street Temple. This must have been, 1973 or 1974. The first time I was having a conversation with other devotees, a bunch of brahmacharis. I started to make a comment. I said, I think, and as soon as I said that, before I could get to the next word, about half a dozen brahmacharis jumped on me like a school of piranha and started chewing me out because I said, I think. And they explained to me right away. I got, all these Prabhupada said this, Prabhupada said that. So I was instructed that when you say, I think, you should conclude the sentence in a closet. Go to some remote corner of the temple, find some dark, quiet closet somewhere where no one will hear you, and complete your sentence in the closet. We're not interested in hearing, I think. We want the absolute truth. It was, these devotees were very, very serious. They didn't want any sand in their sweet rice. They wanted absolutely pure, unadulterated, absolute truth, straight up. No nonsense. That was the standard in that temple at the time. It was a wonderful environment, an extraordinary environment, absolutely, completely transcendental. But there was no element of nonsense whatsoever. And the only words ever spoken were simply repetitions of Srila Prabhupada's own words. Amazing environment. Devotees would read to one another during prasad. Someone would read from Srila Prabhupada's books, and all throughout the day, everyone would just repeat what they had read or heard. That was, there was nothing else. We didn't have cell phones. There was no such thing as the internet. Nobody read newspapers. We never, ever, ever looked at a newspaper or a magazine. Nobody read any books other than Srila Prabhupada's books. It was just 100% Srila Prabhupada and nothing else whatsoever at all. And that was never a problem. The fact that we didn't read the newspapers, we didn't follow the news, was never a problem. It was never a problem at all. And Srila Prabhupada assured us that would be the case. These things are extraneous. You don't need them. If something really important comes up that you really need to know, it will come to your attention by one means or another. Somebody will tell you. You don't have to worry about reading the paper. Nowadays, everyone is glued to the news, oftentimes, at least, not amongst the devotees necessarily, but everyone's got access to everything going on everywhere in the world all the time in a little device they can keep in their pocket. And people become addicted to this kind of a thing. They're absorbed in all kinds of subject matters that are useless and worse than useless, in many cases, actually poisonous, actually harmful. And factually, pretty much anything other than, the pure message of the Bhagavatam is going to be harmful. At least it's going to be a terrible waste of life's precious time. Because every moment is precious. It's incredibly precious. And you realize that practically as you get older and you realize that your time is running out. You begin to understand how precious a moment is. No amount of effort, no amount of money can buy back even 1 second of elapsed time. It's gone forever. Your time is running short. And it's a critical issue because you only have so much time, and it takes time to purify your consciousness, to assimilate all of what there is to know requires time. It takes a lot of time. There's so much to know. And the process of purification, unfortunately, for many of us, is gradual. It takes time. I've been practicing Krishna consciousness for 50 years, and I look at what I've accomplished, and it's discouraging. It's depressing. The more you progress, the more you realize how much you need to progress. And I look at myself and I see how far I am from the goals that I really thought I would have achieved a long time ago. So much of my lifetime was wasted in affairs of family life, working to support my family, and lots of nonsense as well, unnecessary, nonsensical things, following the news, surfing the internet, frivolous time wasting with all kinds of silly nonsense. Now I'm out of time. Now I'm completely out of time. My heart condition is such that I can literally drop dead at any moment. Doctors consider me a living miracle. I should be dead. The major artery of my heart is 100% blocked. That particular artery is called the doctors have dubbed it the widowmaker, because it's the artery that is most commonly involved in fatal heart attacks. Mine is 100% blocked. I should be dead. It's miraculous that somehow or other I'm still alive in spite of that. Other people, even slight blockages to that artery kills them. So, and the other arteries, remaining arteries, are at least 60% blocked. So somehow or other, I'm hanging on. I won't, waste your time with the story of how they're keeping me alive, but I can go at any moment. And so I don't have any time to waste. And I've become particularly focused on, trying to purify myself with pure, unadulterated medication. I want absolute purity. I need that desperately. So I beg, please, all my Prabhus, please administer your medication. Please don't adulterate. Try to keep the message very pure. I don't want to beat this subject to death here. I'll shut up now, but I thank you very profusely. That was a really wonderful class. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Anybody else? Premakishori Mataji, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for the wonderful class. And Targa Prabhu, thank you for such a great emphasis. And I think we all need to live like that. We can go any moment. Sarvatma Prabhu, one question. After hearing your class build up, like you started from a ground level and then you build a whole city of how important, how we are all part and parcel of Krishna. Like I can like literally feel it under my skin, how you are building brick by brick by brick, your class, very well organized. Thank you so much. But the thing is that the place where I am in my Krishna consciousness or in my life, this gives rise to a little bit of apprehension that, oh my goodness, this is the standard is too high and it is not possible. So how I want to hear like what is your suggestion? Like how does one deal with that? Because of the apparent feeling of apprehension. Thank you.
I think that at the suggestion of Srila Prabhupada, we should hunt for the rhino. And this is not an easy task when you're trying to capture a land animal that is obviously a lot more powerful than any human, and that the skin is so thick that even bullets may not be able to stop him. But you just do what you can, and one shouldn't be discouraged or embarrassed of failure, because at least you're trying. There are almost 8 billion people on this planet, and how many of them are trying to become Krishna conscious? A very, very insignificant percentage of the entire population. And out of those who are trying, how many are sincere and endowed with the capacity and the piety, the sukriti, and the credit that is necessary to go to the next step, even less. So this is a thing that Krishna mentions, that out of millions that try for self-realization, even hardly anybody attains it, and of those, hardly anybody knows Krishna in truth. So we are actually among them, believe it or not. With all our foibles and failures, we are at least trying to become Krishna conscious. Of course, if you had the vision, like Taraka Prabhu is mentioning, that seen in retrospect, how much has he accomplished in 50 years? Yeah, we all have a kind of a projection, when you see, it's like someone comes to make a building or anything else, they think, okay, it's going to take me 2 months, but then the supplies don't come and the quality is not the one he wanted, and the owner has a say, and the wife of the owner doesn't like the color of a paint. There's just so many imponderables that it takes a lot longer. Myself and my indomitable pride, when I joined, I heard, a couple of days before, when I was taught about Krishna consciousness, that the goal is to become a pure devotee of Krishna. And so I made my calculation, and I thought it will take me at least a month. That was my, it wasn't even an optimistic view. I thought, yeah, it will take probably a month until you become a pure devotee. It's like learning how to play a sport. We can't fathom how deep Krishna consciousness is, and the perfection is eternally being modified, so you can really never attain it. Krishna doesn't know the extent of his own self. He's always expanding. He's always finding new things about himself. And This is our life. It's not a static thing. It's not a wall somewhere that you finally touch the wall. That's it. You're done. You're never done. You're never done. And you shouldn't be discouraged seeing that, okay, well, I have not made much progress. I always give an example like children, that if you're living with your children, you don't see their growth. Only people who see them every few months, they can see, oh my God, they have grown so much. And you see them, yeah, maybe a little bit. No, not a little bit, a lot. So someone who has, you have been your own company, and you know your secrets, and you know how deep you are into Krishna consciousness and how truthfully advanced you are. You may not think much of it, but those who have seen you progress, they can see, oh yeah, she has made so much progress. But we are not very good at judging ourselves. So I don't think we should worry about where we're at now compared to perfection. Again, because perfection is not a static thing, it moves as well. You are just going in the right direction, and your sincerity and your practice and the association of devotees will carry you through. So I don't think you should be discouraged. I don't think you should be satisfied with what you have gained, because that's the nature of the devotees. They want more. They want Krishna. And even Krishna run away from the gopis just to curb their pride. So we become proud of our Krishna consciousness, Krishna will go away, and we will have to just continue to search for him. Okay, that's my 2 paisa for the day. It's 7:59. We have come to the end of another Bhagavatam class. I thank you for encouragement.
Thank you, Prabhu.
You're welcome. Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Gaura Premananda.